NBA fans spend their hard-earned money to come see NBA stars play, so it's a huge disappointment when your favorite player that you came to see is out for the game, especially when they could have played. Load management, or stars resting throughout the season, has become common in today's NBA, with superstar-level players regularly resting on the bench. But a recent NBA rule added for next season will change everything. Kobe Bryant was not a believer in resting or load management, saying, "The only time I took a game off is when I couldn't walk." There are kids and families in the crowd where this will be the only chance they get to see you. They save up their hard-earned money to watch you perform, so get there and perform. Kobe performed every night, playing through some major injuries, but many NBA stars today don't even play through minor ones. Players do need to recover from their injuries, and they should. Players' health is very important, but if there's only a minor issue or no issue at all, and stars sit out an entire game, we start to have a problem. If we took every NBA player who made the All-Star game this past season, there was a total of 357 games missed by this group. That's over 4 NBA seasons worth of games. This averaged out to be 14.875 games missed per All-Star, or about 18% of the entire season. Only 7 All-Stars managed to play over 70 games this season, and not a single player was able to play over 80 games. If we look at the NBA as a whole, there was only 10 players in the entire league that played all 82 games this season, with Mikal Bridges actually playing 83 games, with an extra game being added onto his schedule after being traded from the Suns to the Nets. To compare, 20 years ago in the 2002 to 2003 season, 46 players played the entire NBA season, and in Michael Jordan's final season, at age 40, he played all 82 games. Not to mention, he averaged 37 minutes per game, which would have placed third in minutes played last season. Whether it's the training regimen, the mindset, or the coaching staff, current players wouldn't even dream of accomplishing that at age 25, while Jordan did it into his 40s and retirement. There simply isn't an expectation for star NBA players to play the majority of their games anymore, but that is about to change. The league is currently negotiating a new national television rights deal, so NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has been determined to increase player participation. To do so, the NBA Board of Governors adopted new rules regarding the resting of healthy star players in an attempt to curb the load management issues that have become frequent in the league in the recent years. Teams have to comply to these rules when deciding to rest a star NBA player, which is defined as someone who has been an all-star or on an all-NBA team in any of the previous 3 seasons. In total, 25 teams and 50 players, which is nearly 11% of the league, are impacted by these new rules. 15 teams in the league have multiple players who were named an all-star or to the all-NBA team in the previous 3 seasons. And these new resting rules come in 5 different parts. 1. No more than 1 star player is able to rest in the same game. A team like the Boston Celtics would have to ensure that either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum is available for each game, unless both players are legitimately injured. This does leave room for a star player to still be resting, but at least there will still be 1 key player in the game at all times. 2. Teams must ensure that star players are available for national TV and in-season tournament games. When fans turn on ESPN or TNT to see a key game, they expect to see star players. And many people, including myself, might switch to a different game or turn off the game entirely if I see every all-star or all-NBA caliber player on the bench. It simply won't be as entertaining. This rule will create better ratings for the NBA and more satisfaction for the fans. 3. Teams must maintain a balance between the number of 1-game absences for a star player in home games and road games, with a preference for those absences to happen in home games. An example of this rule that would take place next season happened last season, where Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green all played in a home loss to the Indiana Pacers on December 5th. Then all 3 were rested to a road loss to the Utah Jazz only 2 nights later. Under these new resting rules, Golden State would have been investigated and likely fined in this case. Fans expect to see top players when opposing teams come into town. I've gone to games where I specifically went to see a star player on the team that's coming into my town, but they were resting, and it ruins a big part of the experience when you go to that game. But this rule will change that. 4. Teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown when a star player stops participating in games. When the Washington Wizards sat Bradley Beal for the last 10 games of the season with what the team called knee soreness, How many of us actually believe that? Damian Lillard sat out the Blazers' final 11 games with right calf soreness, with the injury conveniently happening when the team was already out of playoff contention. Essentially, this is an anti-tanking rule that also forces star players to play even in games that don't have playoff implications. And lastly, number 5. Teams must ensure that healthy players resting for a game are present and visible to fans. If a team violates any of those rules, they are subject to a $100,000 fine for their first violation, a $250,000 fine for the second, and the third is $1.25 million. From there, a team will be fined $1 million more than its previous penalty for any violations beyond that. These new rules may look strict, but the NBA also has detailed some exceptions where teams can seek approval for star players to miss games that they would have been required to play. The NBA will allow pre-approved load management approval for players who are 35 years old on opening night or have career workloads of 34,000 regular season minutes or 1,000 regular season and playoff games combined. The star players who fall under this category include LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, Mike Conley, DeMar DeRozan, and James Harden. In other words, these new resting rules don't apply to those players, with LeBron conveniently meeting those requirements. One big flaw that can be seen in this system is, what if players just say that they are injured? They wouldn't have to play, right? Wrong. Team physicians will continue to determine if a player is injured, but to promote compliance with this new policy, the league has the right to investigate, including an independent medical review to determine the player's availability. An automatic league office investigation is also triggered if a star player misses one or more national TV or in-season tournament games, if multiple star teammates miss the same game, or if there's inconsistent statements contradicting a player's health status. Ultimately, this move is all about money for the league, since higher viewership and in-game attendance numbers bring higher revenue. But this is actually good for the players too, because a percentage of the salary cap that NBA teams have is based off of the money brought in by gate receipts, broadcast rights, parking, sponsorships, etc. So if there's more revenue coming in, players get paid more. And fans win with these new rules too. There's no more sorry excuses for star players sitting out games, and fans get the viewership and in-game experience that they paid for. All around, it seems like a win-win-win for the league, players, and fans. And these new rules will change the NBA for the better. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, as it helps me out a ton on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next one.